What's going on, everyone? This is Legendary Ray here, back at you with another video. And in this video, I am going to discuss what it's like having this 3D printer and my experience with it. Now, if you remember a few videos back, I did pick up the latest Bambu 3D printer, the Bambu Labs P2S with the AMS Pro. Now, I've been using this printer for several months now, and today I want to share with you my experience with 7 days of printing. I tried to do 7 consistent days of printing, but since I only have the one printer and some prints took many hours, 9 plus, 12, 13 plus hours, it was kind of more difficult to try and print every single day. But I did manage to print a lot of things that I want to share with you in this video today. First off, I printed a couple headset stands. Here's one headset and another headset. So most of you may recognize the second headset. This is the logo from Assassin's Creed. I thought it was really cool. I thought, it looked great in my setup. Who doesn't like Assassin's Creed and the logo for a headset? Now, the first one I printed was because it was kind of like a dual purpose headset. I could place my headset on it, and it's a controller holder. So, I just wanted to print stuff to kind of clean up my desk a little bit. When I printed this, the headset's supposed to sit on just like this. That looks nice and all, but, adding the controller, this the spot for the controller, doesn't really work out too. So that was kind of a dud, and that's why I printed the Assassin's Creed. Again, looks nice, but not too functional. You could do it the wide version, but with these kind of pointy ends that I didn't want my headset to stretch or get messed up by the point. So that was kind of like my first day besides the little tugboat of printing. So I wasn't really too happy with these two products. So I decided to move on something else, and I realized once the printer printed these headset stands, I did notice that the cables and the belt to the print head was rubbing on the top of the glass. So I searched through the Bambu Labs app, found a glass riser. So since I spent many hours on this, I want to do stuff that can make my 3D printer work better and be more clean and more organized. This is it for day one. Let's hop into day two and see what the glass riser looks like. Okay, so it is day two. Now, I've already recorded this. This is my second time recording day two, simply for the fact that I had audio issues the first time I recorded. Basically, I'm just going to give you a rundown of what happened during my second day of printing. I looked through the app, and they had several different options for a glass riser to keep from the components touching the glass. This one was like a 8-piece print. 4 pieces to print around the printer, and 3 pieces to hold your tools that came with the printer, like the Allen wrenches, the lube for the rods. And the whole print time took about, I think, 6 or 7 hours, something like that. I really recommend when you get a 3D printer, especially the P2S, definitely print the glass riser first. And during the print, it did get messed up. I used Elgo filament, and during the print process, it got kind of tangled up. And it did that like 2 or 3 times during the print. It was pretty easy fix, just unwind it and put it back into the feeder. Now, another issue I had during this print is the nozzle got clogged. So obviously, being a newbie, I got scared. I was like freaking out, didn't know what to do. But luckily, Bambu Labs has a great user-friendly tutorial on how to fix these little problems. So I just scanned the barcode on the screen, took me directly to the video on how to fix it. Simple fix, took about 5, 6, 7 minutes, and I was back up and running. So once I fixed the problem, I wanted to get into more multicolored prints, and so which means obviously buying different color filament. And I realized when I printed these two that the printer does release filament to switch out the color, which is filament poop. Now for day 3, printed a poop chute And this is a must-have for your printer because all printers release poop filament when it's changing colors. I went onto the Bambu Labs app, searched for the different types of poop chutes that fit the P2S. Some even have magnets to it. Now, I recommend printing the one that does have magnets. Now, there's different variations of this depending on the size of the magnet, but the first one I did print, I didn't print the ones with the magnet. You know, as the printer is printing and it's shaking and doing all this other stuff, it kind of moves the poop chute around. So I highly recommend print one with the magnets. That way it sticks to the side of the printer, stays in place, and no issues with it. Part of day 3 of printing, I did print a build plate holder, and this is really useful. You know, this one, again, different variations of this, but this one holds about 4-5 build plates. These little feet slide underneath the printer, and all it really does is just take your build plate, slide it in, and it holds it. These 3 prints I highly recommend for your printer, and I do have one more print that I recommend, and I'll share that in a little bit, which I printed like on day 6 or 7, but we'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, very useful. Okay, now moving on to day 4 of printing. With me working in aerospace, working on the B-21, so I did print a B-21 model. You know, this one took about 7-8 hours, something like that. You know, very cool. Now there's, you know, 3 or 4 different variations of this. This was my first print. You can see the print layers on it. So I did find a second version of it. Now this one is better quality and a bigger plane. So this was the first one, and here's the second one. So yeah, this one is a bigger version and cleaner. You don't notice the layers that much. So I did print this for myself and a few more for my neighbors and close friends. So that's what I printed for day 4. No issues with this.
Tomorrow for sure.
Okay, so moving on to day 5. I printed this soap dispenser Highland cowl. Now this is only for Bath and Body Works. Slides right into the cowl. Pretty cute, right? So this cowl printed in different parts: the body, the head, the hooves, the eyes, and the horn and nose. Basically, whatever color was printed on separate build plates. So altogether, this little Highland cowl probably took about 9, maybe 10 hours. 1, 2, 3, 4 different build plates for each color. So no issues with this. Pretty easy, and probably a good seller too on Etsy or something like that. That's day 5. Moving on to day 6.
Eventually.
Now that I got a little bit more familiar with the 3D printer and kind of run into all the little issues that you're going to run into, you know, the tangleness of the spool, the spaghetti print. So now I wanted to do a little bit more organization on my desk. So I printed the Gridfinity for my Alex drawers. And in the app, you know, whoever invented or designed these Gridfinity, kudos to you. You know, this was a great idea. Very simple. Obviously, it was just 2 colors, black and white. Black for the grid base and white for the boxes. Obviously, I still need to print more boxes, but I need to find the boxes that suit my needs and for my equipment. And as you can see, my desk is very unorganized. I got wires everywhere. I have camera equipment, you know, just thrown in drawers. So eventually, when I have time for it, I'll print the boxes, get my desk the way I need it to be organized. So again, no issues printing these, and I highly recommend, if you do get a 3D printer, print the Gridfinity. Now, let's move on to day 7.
Well, we're waiting.
Okay, now finally, day 7 of printing. Now, this specific print I probably should have done first or second day, probably second day, since the second day I did the glass riser. This would have really helped me in my previous prints, and that is the Desicent Moisturizer Absorption Pods. Now, I feel this is a must-have for any 3D printer if you can print one for your specific printer. The biggest killer for prints is moisture. You know, if it gets into the spool or in your AMS, then your prints are not going to come out good at all. So these Desicence pods is definitely a must-have for your 3D printer. You can even look for thermometer on Amazon. So I picked these up, 2 for $6 or $7. Definitely well worth it. I'll leave a link in the description to find those with the print. So there's the hole for the meter to slip in, and it fits my AMS perfectly. But some of these models come with a funnel, so you just attach the funnel to the pod, pour the beads in. Super simple. Again, this is probably one of the best things to print for your printer. These 4 pods with the funnel probably took about 5 or 6 hours. Printing in black just because it blends in with my AMS, since it is like a dark gray. Blends in very well, and I can see the thermometer on it to see if I'm within the humidity range, and it works perfectly. Ever since I've put these beads in, I've had no issues with any kind of print. So that's it for day 7 of printing. Now let's move into my final thoughts with my printing experience. The P2S has been a great printer for me. It's been a great tool. I've used it for selling products. I've used it for home use to fix little things around the house, organize my desk, organize the kitchen, that kind of stuff. You know, I love this 3D printer. Hopefully, if I can grow my business more with 3D printing, I'd like to purchase more and kind of have my own little 3D print farm. But if you're a first-time user with a 3D printer, I highly recommend, if you have an enclosed one like mine, print the glass riser first, then the desicent pods like these. And just do some research before you print. You know, whatever you feel you might need for your printer, print that first. Whether it be organizing tool stations or things for your printer to work better. Now here's some things I recommend that you do not do. So obviously, if you're searching for a filament, you probably don't know what to buy or what brand to buy. But I do recommend starting with PLA first. That's what I've been using, and I haven't had really any issues with it. But I did learn that buying filament with a cardboard spool is the wrong way to go. As the printer is pulling the filament, obviously this spins in the AMS, and cardboard is cardboard. So it can bend, it can warp, or any of that. So that can cause problems with your filament. So what I recommend is buying the filament with the plastic spools. Or you can even print your own, like I did here, and buy the replacement filament. But that's a personal decision, because you're only saving yourself $1 to $3, where pretty much this filament is anywhere from $18 to $23. So again, personal decision, but definitely go with the plastic spools. Now I want to share with you the tools and accessories that I recommend for your 3D printer. Okay, so first off, get some 3D print glue. You know, this helps bond your prints together and secures them perfect. Another accessory is build plate glue. So this is glue for your build plate, which will help your prints stick to the build plate and have cleaner prints, and that way they don't come off or uplift off your build plate. So next, I recommend needle nose pliers and or mini snippers. So what these tools are used for is to remove the supports from your prints, or if you are good enough, you can go into your settings, and depending on the type of print and type of model you're doing, change the settings to easily remove the supports from your print. Now, next tool I recommend is a deburring tool. What this tool is used for is to kind of clean up the edges of your prints. I've used it a few times on the B21 model. You know, when removing this first layer, sometimes it leaves extra residue on the edge, so you just take your deburr tool, scrape the edge, cleans it right up. Now, obviously, depending on how far you get into your 3D print journey, you know, you're going to want to get some magnets. You know, a lot of people that print cosplay, masks, Deadpool masks, Wolverine masks, all that kind of stuff, all use magnets. So this is good for that. Now, another tool I recommend is a mini torch. So this mini torch is good for cleaning up the print when it's done. You know, sometimes you have like little strings of print, and you know, just basically smooth out the print when it's finished. Now, as you get further into your 3D print journey, and you want to decide to make your own models instead of just finding and searching them in the app, you know, you probably want to get a digital caliper. You know, these are fairly cheap. In fact, I bought an assortment of tools off Amazon specifically for 3D printing. Probably like a 50 tool kit, all for $20, $25. And it comes with all these tools, the calipers, the deburring tool, the mini snips, again, like screwdrivers, that kind of stuff. I'll leave a link in the description below for this kit. And one more thing you'll probably need if you plan on buying a lot of filament is vacuum bags. Now this is kind of a cheap product as well, probably about 20 bucks. You know, if you buy a bunch of filament and don't plan on using it right away, these vacuum bags is a great storage. You can put the desiccant pods in here that come with the filament when you buy it, and it's dark, so it kind of blocks the sun, that way it keeps the color. It comes with its own little mini vacuum, just USB plug it in, click the button, sucks the air out, works perfectly. So I have several of these with colors that I've used, but haven't used all that often. So I just have them stored away, that way when I'm ready to use them, I'm not going to have any issues while they print. So I feel that these tools are a must-have when you get into 3D printing. If I'm wrong, please let me know, but again, this is my first time having a 3D printer, and found out these are the tools that I've needed during my journey. So I just want to warn you, when you're buying a 3D printer, you're not just buying the 3D printer and the filament. You're going to need a lot of other stuff, so just be prepared for that. Be prepared to spend a lot more money than just the printer and the filament. So that's my video on my 7 days of printing. The tips and tricks that I've learned, the problems I've ran into, and how to fix them, and again, just all around my journey and my experience with this 3D printer. So I just want to thank you guys. Remember, like, share, comment. Let me know what you guys think about this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And remember, don't be great, be legendary.